Lynn grew up in a house where silence meant peace and obedience meant love. Her parents believed calm voices could erase mistakes. They believed forgiveness was proof of good upbringing. Every Sunday, her mother cooked the same soup. Every Sunday, her father repeated the same story about family loyalty. Mai would arrive late, smelling of perfume and tequila. She would smile, kiss her mother's cheek, and take her seat. No one ever asked where she had been. When Mai crashed their father's car at 17, Lynn paid the mechanic. When Mai maxed out her first credit card, Lynn co-signed a new one. Her parents called it support, not sacrifice. They said Lynn was responsible because she was stronger. Mai was creative, sensitive, still learning. Every failure was renamed a phase. Every lie was softened into misunderstanding. Lynn learned early that truth had a price. It cost peace at the dinner table. It cost her parents' approval. It cost sleep. By the time she was 20, Lynn had stopped arguing. She nodded when her parents defended Mai's choices. She smiled when Mai borrowed money she would never repay. Inside, resentment calcified into quiet precision. She built her world on numbers and proofs. Her job at Atlas Insurance was not an accident. She liked systems that could not be talked into compromise. She liked lines that stayed straight no matter who cried. Her coworkers called her the human firewall. It was a joke she never corrected. She worked, saved, and bought her first car with her own salary. It was the only thing that felt truly hers. Mai had laughed when she saw it. So serious, she teased, tracing the logo on the hood. Do you even drive for fun? Lynn had smiled faintly. Fun was never part of the plan. The plan was order. But order did not survive in her family's orbit. Whenever Mai failed, chaos returned to their parents' table. Her mother would cry softly and call it worry. Her father would sigh, speak of duty, and look at Lynn. Be patient, he'd say. She needs you. It was never a request. It was law disguised as affection. Lynn obeyed for years because rebellion felt cruel. She told herself compassion was strength. But compassion without boundaries became weakness. And weakness fed entitlement. Mai grew older, not wiser. Her apologies grew shorter, her debts larger. When Lynn tried to set limits, the house turned against her. You're cold, her mother whispered. You've forgotten what family means. Lynn swallowed her anger, each word sinking like stone. Forgiveness in her home was never about healing. It was a transaction. Mai acted, Lynn repaired, the world continued spinning. Until the night in the garage, when metal screamed and lies collided. For the first time, Lynn saw a boundary drawn in steel and smoke. And she knew she would not cross it again. The garage emptied slowly as the tow truck drove away. Lynn stood beside the wreck, phone in hand, screen glowing blue. She opened the car's tracking app, her thumbs steady, her mind cold. Numbers appeared in clean white rows across the display. Mileage, fuel, tire pressure, trip history. At the bottom, a log marked 8:41 p.m. blinked softly. She tapped it. A small map opened, tracing a red path through the parking levels. The final entry read, top speed 90 km per hour. The limit was 15. Her breath left her in a sharp, quiet exhale. There was no glitch, no mechanical failure. It was proof. Data had no mercy. It recorded everything, the rush, the turn, the impact. She zoomed in, watching the numbers climb like a heartbeat. 84, 88, 90. Then nothing. Crash detected. Airbags deployed. She stared until the digits blurred into light. Mai's words echoed from minutes earlier. The brakes failed. It wasn't my fault. Lynn almost laughed. Her sister's lies were getting lazy. For years, she had crafted them like art. Now they sounded like noise. The coolant dripped from the car in slow rhythm. Tick, tick, tick. Each sound counted a second of silence before the storm. Lynn took photos. License plate, crushed bumper, skid marks. Then she aimed the camera inside. The dash cam's blue light still blinked, patient, alive. She pressed the eject button, slid out the memory card. Evidence in her palm, small and absolute. She could already see the report forming in her head. Location, timestamp, driver unknown. She would submit it to the system in the morning. The system never lied. It spoke in binary, not emotion. It would side with her because she spoke its language. Yet, under the clean surface of her logic, something cracked. It wasn't anger, it was fatigue. Years of defending a boundary that never held. Her parents would call soon, she knew. They would ask her to forgive, to fix, to forget. They would say the word, family, as if it erased laws. She looked at the wreck again. This time, it wasn't just twisted metal. It was a ledger. Every dent was a debt. Every scrape a signature. She crouched, touching the ground near the spill of oil. Her reflection shimmered on the dark surface, warped and broken. Enough, she whispered. The word tasted strange, new, like metal in her mouth. She slid the memory card into her coat pocket and stood. A wind moved through the garage, carrying the scent of burnt plastic. Somewhere above, a car alarm wailed and fell silent. Lynn turned off the phone screen. The numbers vanished, but the truth stayed. She walked toward the elevator without looking back. Behind her, the dash cam blinked once more before the battery died. Its final image was of her leaving. The first step away from a lifetime of forgiveness. The email arrived just after midnight. Subject line, automated alert, policy discrepancy detected. Lynn blinked at the screen, pulse steady but slow. Her personal file number appeared in bold at the top. It was her own car, her own claim. She hadn't filed anything. Someone else had. She clicked open the log. A timestamp glared back to 11. An unauthorized access from an external IP address. User ID, TilamADJ. She knew that name. Trung Lam, senior claims adjuster, once praised for efficiency. Now flagged in 3 internal reports for suspicious overrides. Her team had been watching him quietly for months. He had a pattern, small edits late at night, invisible trails. Until now. He had touched her file. He had added a new driver, name backdated 24 hours. Myng UI letter 1 EC5N. The system showed it clearly. A manual entry, no audit approval, no verification code. It was clumsy, desperate, and it tied everything together. Lynn leaned back in her chair. The city lights pressed against her apartment window. Below, the streets pulsed with distant headlights. She felt both detached and precise, like a machine breathing. This was not just family chaos anymore. This was corporate crime. She pulled up the internal monitoring portal, her hands calm. Each keystroke left a trace, each trace a path. She opened the immutable audit log. There it was, Trung's ID, his IP. His digital fingerprint. He hadn't even used the company VPN. He'd logged in through a public network. That meant arrogance or panic. Maybe both. Lynn exported the data, encrypted it, labeled it evidence. Her training whispered inside her mind. Preserve the scene. Do not interfere. The evidence must remain untouched. She resisted the urge to call him, to confront him outright. Emotion contaminates evidence. Facts must speak alone. Still, she felt the familiar ache under her ribs. Mai's recklessness had grown teeth. It was now chewing through her professional world. Her parents' logic would not survive this. No amount of pleading could erase a server log. No forgiveness could overwrite digital truth. She opened a blank document, fingers hovering over the keys. The report would need to be clinical. No adjectives, no emotion, no mention of sister. Just lines, codes, time, and law. The cursor blinked in rhythm with her heartbeat. She began to type. Incident summary. Unauthorized policy modification detected. Related party identified. Employee Trung Lam. Associated driver. MyNGUY letter 1EC5N. Possible motive. Concealment of fraudulent claim. She wrote until the words felt mechanical. When finished, she encrypted the file and attached it to an email. Recipient, Tram Vu General Counsel, Atlas Insurance. Message body, request for internal review, urgent. She hovered over send. This click would split her life cleanly in two. Family on one side, law on the other. She pressed the button. The sound was small, final, absolute. The reply came at dawn. 2 words glowed on the screen. Proceed quietly. Lynn read them twice, her eyes dry, her hands still. The order was simple, cold, absolute. She locked her phone and sat in the half-light of morning. The hum of the refrigerator sounded louder than her heartbeat. Outside, the city stretched awake, unaware of what had begun. She was now a witness, not a sister. The line had been drawn in data and duty. At 9, she entered Atlas Tower through the staff elevator. The building smelled of polished steel and air-conditioned calm. People greeted her, unaware of the storm in her inbox. She nodded, silent, walking toward the secure floor. Inside the compliance unit, the servers blinked like 1,000 eyes. Every file was a secret, every log a confession. She swiped her badge and entered the clean lab. Only a handful of people had access here. Her lead analyst, Dai, looked up from his desk. He didn't ask questions, he knew the protocol. She handed him a drive, labeled with a single word. Incident. He plugged it in, face lit by the monitor's pale glow. Rows of numbers filled the screen like falling rain. He whistled softly. This is internal. She nodded. Then we treat it as contamination. Evidence first, emotion later. They began the extraction process, copying every byte to a secure container. Checksum verified. Chain of custody intact. Lynn typed the preliminary report, each line sharp and exact. Unauthorized access confirmed. Policy alteration verified. Conflict of interest acknowledged. Her name appeared in the metadata, her pulse quickened. For a moment, she hesitated. Should she declare Maya's her sister? Would it weaken the case? Would it make her look vengeful? She erased the thought. Facts didn't care about blood. By noon, the incident package was ready. Dai sealed it under 2-factor encryption, time-stamped, archived. Lynn uploaded it to the legal server, shared only with Tram Vu's office. At 12:43, her terminal pinged with confirmation. The case now had a number, sterile and anonymous. SIU 2047. It no longer belonged to her. The company would dissect it, layer by layer. But she still felt the weight of ownership, heavy and invisible. She printed 1 page, the summary, and slid it into her notebook. A copy of truth she could hold. She stared at her reflection in the monitor's dark glass. Same face, same eyes, but something fundamental had shifted. For years, she had enforced other people's honesty. Now she was enforcing her own. Her phone buzzed once, a new message. Mother, dinner Sunday, 6 o'clock. Don't be late. No mention of the crash, no mention of Mai. Just routine, soft and weaponized. Lynn stared at the screen until the words blurred. She closed the message without replying. The line between love and manipulation had vanished. And she was done pretending it still existed. Sunday came wrapped in false warmth. The house looked the same, every frame polished, every curtain drawn. Her mother greeted her with a practiced smile. Her father poured wine before saying a word. Mai sat quietly, pretending innocence in soft tones and perfect posture. The smell of roasted meat filled the air like tradition. They spoke of traffic, of weather, of distant cousins. The silence beneath was heavy and scripted. Lynn ate slowly, each bite mechanical, each second stretched. Her father finally leaned back, glass in hand. "We need to talk," he said, voice low but commanding. Her mother nodded, eyes shimmering with tears ready to fall. "It's about the insurance thing," she whispered. Lynn placed her fork down carefully, her voice even. "What thing?" "Don't be cold," her father snapped. "You know what happened. The accident, your sister's mistake." He said mistake, as if it erased a crime. Her mother reached for her hand. "Family stands together, Lynn. Always." The word always felt like a chain. Mai looked up, her lips curling in a small smile. "She didn't mean to," her mother continued softly. "We can fix this. Withdraw whatever you sent. We'll pay for the damage." Lynn looked at her sister. Mai met her gaze without guilt, only confidence. It was the same look she had worn all her life. The look of someone certain that rules did not apply. Lynn reached into her bag and took out a folded paper. She laid it flat on the table. The sound of paper against wood cut through the room. "What's this?" her father asked. "The system log," Lynn replied. "An access record from 2 in the morning." Her finger tapped a line of text. "User ID, Tilam80J. New driver added. Mayan GUY letter 1EC5N." Her mother blinked, confused. Her father's face darkened, his voice rising. "You're spying on your own company now." Lynn kept her tone steady. "I didn't need to. The system alerts me when someone lies." Mai's smirk faded, her jaw tightening. "You're making it worse," she hissed. "You don't understand how this works." "No," Lynn said quietly. "You don't understand how law works." Her mother began to cry, soft and rehearsed. "How can you do this to your sister?" "It's not what I'm doing," Lynn said. "It's what she did." Her father stood, the chair scraping loudly. "If you push this," he warned, "don't bother coming back." The words landed like stones, expected but heavy. Lynn rose too, her voice calm, final. "I was born in this house," she said. "But I don't belong here anymore." Her mother sobbed harder, reaching out, but Lynn stepped back. The air between them felt clean for the first time. She turned, walking toward the door, shoes clicking like punctuation. At the threshold, she paused. Her reflection shimmered in the glass. "I come from truth now," she whispered. Then she left, closing the door on a silence that finally meant peace. Monday arrived sharp as glass. Lynn woke before the alarm, mind already moving in patterns of logic. Atlas Tower glowed under a gray sky, sterile and watchful. Inside, the air buzzed with quiet urgency. The operation had a name now, Project Mirror. It was built to expose the man who had touched her file. Trung Lam thought he was clever, hidden behind passwords and favors. He was wrong. By 10 a.m., the ghost file was ready. Dai mirrored Lynn's original claim line by line, number by number. A car, same model, same damage, same flags. Only the policy ID was different, faintly altered. They released it into the live queue, let it drift toward Trung's desk. The bait was perfect, impossible to resist. Lynn watched through the monitoring feed, every minute precise. At 1:30, Trung opened the file. His cursor blinked for a long time. Then the first edit appeared. Driver mismatch override. Manual authorization requested. He was taking it. Lynn felt the pulse rise in her throat, but kept still. Next, Dai patched in the secure call line. An investigator, posing as a body shop manager, dialed Trung directly. His voice was smooth, oily, practiced. "Hey boss, got a messy one here. Driver not on the paper, you know the drill." A pause followed, then Trung laughed quietly. "Same as before," he said. The words hung like a confession. "Add the sister, keep the story tight. I'll clean the record tonight." Lynn closed her eyes. That was it. The sound of the trap snapping shut. Every syllable recorded, every second time-stamped. By 3 p.m., the data package was complete. Audio, logs, system access, airtight. She forwarded it to legal with one sentence. Subject confirmed collusion and policy manipulation. Tramvu's response came within the hour. The case was now under state jurisdiction. Atlas would cooperate fully. They had evidence enough for prosecution. Still, Lynn had one final message to send. She drafted it carefully, words cold and precise. This is formal notice. You filed a false claim. You have 24 hours to retract. No emotion, no accusation, only fact. She signed it with her full title. The email left the screen with a faint click. 5 minutes later, the read receipt appeared. Mai had seen it. No reply followed. Lynn leaned back, letting the exhaustion settle. Outside, the rain began to fall, soft and even. Her reflection swam on the window, framed by light and water. For years, she had been the family's safety net. Now she was the knife that cut the cords. The system hummed around her, alive, impersonal, just. Truth had taken its shape in code and consequence. She whispered to the empty room. Justice doesn't need forgiveness. Then she turned off the screen. The blue glow faded, leaving only the quiet rhythm of rain. And for the first time, she felt free. Weeks passed in measured silence. Atlas released the internal memo, confirming the arrests. Trung Lam was terminated, charged with data fraud and collusion. The network of body shops collapsed within days. Mai's case followed, small in scale but heavy in truth. She was summoned, questioned, recorded. Her messages became evidence, her laughter replayed in court. Their parents called once, voices trembling with disbelief. Lynn listened, said nothing, and hung up gently. She no longer needed to explain the cost of honesty. At night, she drove a rental car through quiet streets. The dashboard lights glowed steady, clean, unbroken. Each turn felt deliberate, each mile earned. No ghosts followed, no lies hummed beneath the engine. The city shimmered with digital order and human noise. She parked by the river, phone off, wind cold against her face. The world finally made sense in straight lines and calm air. Forgiveness had always been their language. Now truth was hers. She whispered into the dark water below. Some debts are paid with silence. Then she closed her eyes, breathing in the quiet, and let the night hold her.